Hey guys, so last week you guys completed your Mastery Assessment 5. So this week is going to be like normal, our regular reteach week. So looking at the scores that I saw and some things that I saw, I really want to hit on a couple questions. So first off was this idea of what is closed and what is not. So we talked about this in class before we went to remote learning, but a lot of people forgot it, so I want to make sure I hit on it again. So the idea of closure is this. Whatever you start with, whether it's monomials like this, polynomials, integers, whatever you start with, the operation is closed. That means it will produce the exact same thing. So here's the thing to know. Let's look at this. So I want to know which of these are closed and which are not closed. So let's start with this bottom one. So I start with integers. I start with 16 and negative 12. What I want to know is if I take 16 and a negative 12, will I get another integer? Well, what that means is one of our positive or negative counting numbers. So let's see. So 16 minus 12, that gives me 4. Yeah, that's still an integer, right? So after I do this operation, it produces the same thing I started with. That means it's closed. So this would be closed? Yes. So for polynomials and our monomials, remember the big deal is we cannot have a negative exponent or a fraction exponent. So those are the two big things. So if we think about this first one, A, if I take x to the 4th times x to the 6th, I've got x times x, which is just x, 1x and 1x really. But then I'm going to add my exponents and get 10. Well, is this a negative exponent? Nope. Is it a fraction? Nope. Well, that means this is closed. However, let's look at B. So what this gives me is I have x divided by x, which is still 1x, and 1x is still just x. But if I take 15 or 10 minus 15, I get a negative 5. Well, do I have a negative exponent? Yes. Well, that means that cannot be closed, right? Because I can't have negative exponents. And I cannot have exponents that are fractions. So this is not closed. Let's look at C. I have 8x plus 6x. Remember, these are like terms, so all I'm going to do is add my coefficients. 8 and 6 give me 14, and I keep my variable the same. Well, does this have a negative exponent? Remember, technically there's a 1 here. So no, 1 is not a fraction, nor is it negative. That means yes, this is closed. Well, let's check this next one. I have 10x minus 14x. Well, again, like terms, just combine the coefficients. 10 minus 14 is a negative 4. Keep your x. Again, it doesn't matter that this 4 is negative. The coefficient can do whatever it wants. What matters is my exponent. Again, technically there's a 1 here, so that is not negative. It is not a fraction, so yes, this is closed. So the only operation that I see here that's not closed for polynomials is right here, right? So this is the only one that I see. Division is the only one that is not closed for polynomials and binomials, or polynomials and monomials, sorry. Okay, that was one thing I saw. The next thing I saw was a lot of people had kind of some issues with the formatting of the test. So you guys saw a question like this. It said, simplify, you had one polynomial plus another polynomial. And then you solve this, and you're like, what? So let me tell you exactly what this is asking you. It's saying, hey, what is the like term with this x to the 5th term, right? So what's the like term? Oh, the like term would be right here with positive 2x to the 5th. I already got the plus, so all I wanted you to do is put plus 2 x to the 5th. And then I wanted you to tell me, what would you get if you combine these two? Well, again, like terms, so combine your coefficients. So 6 plus 2 is 8, and you keep your x to the 5th. Well, and then do the same thing with this 7x squared. Negative 7x squared, sorry. Well, where's its like term? Oh, right here. So I've already got the plus, just put your 9x squared, and then combine your coefficients. So negative 7, positive 9, is a positive 2x, keep your exponent at 2. Great. And do the same thing with your last term. So I have negative 5, well that goes with, again, this is a positive 20. So I've got my negative 5. Give me your 20 right here. What do I get when I combine these? Positive 15. So that's all I was looking for there. Kind of along that same line, I had a problem like this. And it said, simplify. And you saw these boxes, and a lot of people are like, what do I do? Well, remember how this works. We're going to multiply this out. So I'm going to take x times x, which is x squared. Well, I've already got that, right? That's already there. Then I'm going to take x times 10, which is 10x. That's what goes in this next box. And then I'm going to take not just 2, but a negative 2 and multiply it. So here I'm going to get negative 2x. That's what goes in this box. And then I'm going to take negative 2 times 10. That's where I get this negative 20 in the back, right? So all I was looking for here was what goes in these boxes. And then the next step, what I wanted was, well, these are like terms. So what do I get if I combine these? So the x squared is still there. What do you get when you combine 10 and negative 2? That's an 8x. Put your sign in there, positive. And then I still have that negative 20, right? So that's all that I was looking for there. Okay. Another question that came up was the idea of what is equivalent? Well, remember, equivalent just means the same, right? So what can I do to this that will give me these results? Okay, so remember, if you have something in a parenthesis like this, more than one term, this would be called a binomial. When you see this square, what it's asking you is, what do you get when you take x minus 3 times itself twice? Right, so this is one of the things that's equivalent. So I'm like, hey, I see that right here with b, so I know b is equivalent. All right, cool. Well then, what happens if I finish and I multiply this out? So x times x is x squared. X times this negative 3 is a negative 3x. Then I take this negative 3, multiply it by this x, I get a negative 3x. And then negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9. I'm going to check. Nope, that's not one of my answers. All right, okay, cool. So that's not one of the choices I have. So let me keep simplifying. So what I'm going to do is combine my like terms. And I'm going to get, sorry, I'm running out of room, you guys. X squared minus 6x plus 9. Is that one of my choices? Oh yeah, it is right here, right? So E is also equivalent. So one thing I want to say about this is sometimes when you see answers like this or like this or like this, you may not see the parentheses. That's okay. But if I'm asking you to show me things that are being multiplied, you will see the parentheses like this. So please just keep that in mind. You may not see the parentheses in problems like this or like this or like this. You may. Sometimes it just depends on how people like to write them. But please know if I'm asking for what's an equivalent form, I'm asking which of the same, like when you're simplifying, what do you see as your steps? So we saw this as this step. We didn't see this as one of our options. So even though this is equivalent, it's not one of my options, right? But I did see this step. Let me draw an arrow showing you that's where that goes. But I did see this as one of my options. So please know if I'm asking you what's equivalent, I'm asking you to simplify and show me any of your results you may have gotten as you were simplifying. Okay, I've got one more for you on this. And this is where I saw a lot of issues. So I asked you a lot in this to explain how to simplify, and a lot of people were very confused. Please know if I say, how do you explain whatever, I'm just asking you to tell me, what are you doing? You all can solve the problem correctly. I just want you to tell me, what are you doing? So we're going to look at this problem. I want to know, how would you simplify this? Explain it. Well, the idea is I have this polynomial divided by this monomial. What I'm going to do is divide each of the terms in the numerator by this denominator. Well, remember, I'm dividing, so divide your coefficients like normal. 30 divided by 10 is 3. And then remember, with your exponents, you're going to subtract them. So for x, I'm going to have 10 minus 6, which is 4. My middle term, I'm done with this now. The middle term, 50 divided by 10 is 5. For my term, or my exponents, 7 minus 6 is 1. I don't need the 1. If you want to put it there, that's fine. And then in the back, I have negative 40 divided by 10. That's a negative 4. Remember, 6x and 6x, they cancel each other out, right? cancel each other out. Essentially, we don't need it, right? Because they're the same. So this is what your final answer would be. If you were describing this to me, what I would want to see is what I just said. Take your denominator, divide it by each of the terms in your numerator. I would divide my coefficients, subtract my exponents. And then you would tell me what each one resulted in, right? So a good idea of how to do this is, one, like you can just like work it out and then write your steps. Or two, you can actually like use your phone, your computer, whatever, to record like your thought process. So like pretend like you're telling me how to do this, or a friend who doesn't know how to do this at all. Like, and just like talk through it and then type what you said, right? Like you guys all know how to do this. You can work the problem perfectly. But what I want to see with these is, what is your thinking? What are your clear steps? So I just need you to explain, like, what are you doing? Okay, you guys, I hope that helps. I will talk with you soon.